Rightio YouTube, so yeah, we're going to be painting the bonnet on my roller, driving across the Nullarbor. I picked up a few stone chips, so I wanted to spray it for quite some time. Well, let's get into it, get the prep work done. So start off by my 50-50 methylated spirits, or denatured alcohol they call it in the USA, and a mixture with water and a very clean rag, as you can see here. But yeah, just give it a good clean down first, clean the edges. It's going to be doing all dry prep work. Well, dry except for the cleaning down stage. Alright, just keep it minimal with the water. I don't like having to clean big buckets of sludge out of all the edges of my car and all that stuff. So yeah, just clean all these little bits of whatever they are off. I think there's like bees shit or something like that. So yeah, look, it's really barely worth spraying, but it's just, as a spray painter, like I like to have a nice looking car, and the bonnets always piss me off. So yeah, next up we're just masking the surrounding panels to avoid damage. Oh yeah, that's what it says in every single one of my videos. Don't want to hit those headlights either. Yeah, this is a Collad orange tape. I've been liking it. It's actually, honestly, it's just as good as 3M, which, like, 3M is basically the benchmark as far as masking tapes and adhesives go. So anything that's as good as 3M is definitely good. And I've got my vacuum cleaner here, my awesome little unit there. And where is, there it is. That's right, I left it over here yesterday. So yeah, I always leave that mask around my neck, basically like all day. This thing is just hanging around my neck. If I'm walking through the workshop and there's a cloud of dust, I'll always just flick it on. Anyone's doing prime-ups, I'll flick it on if I'm ever blowing. So when I want to keep this orbital sander clean. I don't want contamination from the last job in this sander. Rightio, so next up we'll get a bit of 600. So my methods won't change at all if I'm doing my own car. So if that's a vote of confidence in my methods, I don't know. If that's not, I don't know what is. So it's not like, you know, I prep other people's cars with 600, but I'll do my own with 800 or something like that. The only time I'd use 800 is, yeah, that's rocking. Only time I'd use 800 is, say, if I'm worried I'm going to cut through on my blend sections because there's not enough paint. show up after you've blown it off. Stuff I've just started doing recently.
So yeah, that's a good little method. Like, I don't have oily, greasy hands or anything like that, so you know, it's pretty safe to do. I've only really started doing it lately, and it works at the end of the day. Just to make sure you don't miss one of those stone chips. And I've got a little trick that actually that old dude in there, I saw him do it. I like it. I wouldn't put too much in, but I'll show you what I mean. So I don't have any red hardener. If I had red hardener, that'd be better. But what you can do, I wouldn't overdo it because it will alter the way that this stuff dries. Just a few drops of the red in there, just to make it cover a little bit better. And any shrink back's going to be shrink back to red. You see, it really doesn't need much in there. Because of the blue, it's actually turned like a purpley violet color, but still, it's going to have to be better than blue. Because I don't plan on actually doing any primer work on this. Although I might do one section just to see, like, I want like proof on my own car of how this UV actually stands up over time. Because a lot of the time on the insurance jobs, I'll paint a car and I won't see it again. I don't know how they kind of hold up. So I want to use a bit of this UV primer just over one of these chips, and it'll give me an idea. Like, you know, I can have a look at it in 6 months, and if there's shrink back where the UV primer section is, I'll know to either avoid it or alter my methods or something like that. So I'm pretty confident I've got all the chips there. I'll give that, I don't know, like say 10 minutes to dry down, and then we'll get the razor blade out and knock them down flat. I'll scotch all the edges too. I'll get those edges scotched while that's drying down. I found a few little chips on these edges. I might just give them a tickle up with a bit of 5-under. It's going to be good enough. I might have missed one or two really small ones, but they'll fill up with a bit of colour and clear, like they're that small. Smash a couple of coats of liquid glass over it, mate. Alright, so yeah, I'll flick that cam off for 10 minutes and we'll come back and sand that filler out. Rightio YouTube, so I've probably even given that 20 minutes to dry down. I'm not really in any hurry today. I was just having a quick chat to one of the panel beaters. It was actually leaving today. I got that car out of the booth. Alan sprayed this old Falcon yesterday, and I gave it a quick hose out with some water just to keep the dust down. And yeah, we'll finish the prep work. So this is what I've been doing these days, is razor blade will sort of get the, so what will happen sometimes if I was to just say even block, or especially just sand that with the orbital sander, you can sometimes get like high spots of where the filler was. So you do have to be careful when you're using a razor blade. Obviously you don't want these corners to go and dig in around the edges, but it can basically shave it down without doing much damage to the surrounding areas, so you can get it nice and flat again, and the chip's been filled in. So I will give it a quick sand down after. Sometimes I just give it a quick hit by hand with a piece of 800, but for the amount that's here, I'll give it a quick sand down with some 600 grit on the orbital sander. That's pretty, doesn't really take too long, and yeah, very good method this. It's something that years ago I never used to do. I saw some guy doing it and I thought, geez, that's actually not a bad idea, and I tried it and it worked, and been doing it ever since. Another plus side of this is that sometimes some fine fillers get a little bit of little sort of greasy layer over the top of them, and you need to sand that off. So this sort of gets rid of that greasy layer, so it's not going to clog up your sandpaper. So I'm pretty happy with how they're shaved down. They all feel nice and flat, so you run your hand over that and you can tell that they're nice and flat, so there's no like haven't been left with any sort of speed humps there. And then we'll just get that orbital sander back out, get some 600 on there again. It's going to be coarse enough to like rip into it, and not and fine enough to spray over, so it's like a one hit. I never used to use 600 before I started here. It's just something that they had, and it's a handy grit of sandpaper to have. So that's it for the prep work. I haven't really got any shiny spots, maybe a little bit here. That could probably do with a little bit of a tickle up with a piece of scotchy. But apart from that, that's it. All the stone chips are filled in, and that's right to spray straight over because I used a fine filler, so not a rough filler. Yeah, that's the Evercoat Easy Sand. Anyway, gunners, that's enough for one video. So that's just the prep video. I'll do the color matching video first, and we'll do a painting video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Gunman out.